Week 2 saw Connor Berry become our first back-to-back winner in the RX2 category, an unprecedented start to the season. He was joined on top of the winner's podium by Josh Fox, a first-time winner this season in RX1. Hello and welcome to the historic virtual sanctuary of speed, the Daytona International Speedway. I'm your host, Joshua Lee. Alongside with me in the commentary booth tonight is Ian Fisher with our car and track cameras tonight created by Istvan Balo at trackcams22.com. And Ian, we're coming into getting into the middle portion of this season with the third round of the campaign. We put Knock Hill, we put Sonoma behind us, and we come to one of the original tracks of iRacing Rallycross, a day one track. Everybody seems to know this circuit. Everybody seems to love it as well.
Yeah, it's a really popular track for the drivers as well. I think the drivers just like the amount of speed you're able to carry through this track. You got a long straightaway down the back once you get out of that dirt section, and a lot of drivers like that tight dirt hairpin you get towards the end of the track as well. It's a good place to pick up a lot of space, and we should see a lot of action there, Josh.
We'll take a look at where we currently stand for the points standings here in RX2. Now, remember, as they currently stand, as you're looking at, there is a drop week that is factored in. Each driver will have 2 drop weeks counted throughout the campaign. So one is being counted here as we come off the heels of the second round of the campaign in Sonoma. And that puts Connor Berry to the top of the board, of course, with 2 wins in a row. And really, just one of his wins is kind of just not being counted because he's still got that 23-point lead up at the front. Just, it would have normally 46, but one of those wins had to be counted as a drop this early.
Yeah, kind of a weird stats anomaly there that confused me when I was putting together the stats this week, where I saw that where, yeah, Connor Berry, it shows he only has the 1 win, but of course the second win would be counted as the drop week. But still, a really, really excellent position to be in. You see there, he's followed in second by Andrew Howell. Unfortunately, Andrew had to step away for a few weeks to take care of some personal things. We wish him all the best here. And I hope he's doing well, but he had to step away. So really now it's going to be a battle between Trevor Teal there, who is tied for that second spot, and then Sean Winkler is going to move in there, and he's going to be tied for Teal with 17 points. And he's got to watch out for. He's got a lot of talent coming into the season. His first start was a podium at Sonoma, and he's looking to show these drivers that he's here to stay.
And we do wish the best to Andrew Howell, who is bedridden at the moment, can't join us here for Racecraft TV Rallycross, but we hope to see him back in the virtual seat very, very soon. About 1 minute remaining here in qualifying for RX2, and we'll continue just taking a look at the preview of tonight by taking a look at the race analysis. We'll have 5 lap heats. We'll have 2 heats to start the night with the top 4 advancing from both of those, a 5-lap last chance qualifier with the top 2 advancing, then a 10-lap main event to round out the evening, an 8x incident limit and a fixed setup as well. We'll have a little bit of a different incident limit and setup package for the RX1 class that'll be coming up a little bit later on tonight. But Ian, talk about this track, the Daytona International Speedway. Already previewed it a little bit before we got started, but this track, like we mentioned, one of the originals when it comes to iRacing Rallycross, and it's very, very tough to get around this course. You can see just a little bit under a mile. It is still one of the longer configurations that we've got.
Yeah, we are in the long configuration as well, so we're going to have the stretch that goes all the way out to the front stretch there of the tri-oval of Daytona International Speedway, usually used for NASCAR racing. It's one of the more asphalt-heavy tracks on the circuit. It's going to be a 69 to 31% asphalt to dirt ratio with a joker delta of a shortcut of 2 seconds. So you'll see a lot of the drivers, especially if they're in the lead, try to hold on to that as long as they can, so they have that final shortcut to take, Joshua.
And it's already time to get started with tonight's RX2 action. We get ready to go racing here for heat race number 1. Here's how we currently stand with the starting grid. It's Connor Berry and Damian Jensen on the front row, with Sean Winkler, Zachary Drapkin sharing that next row. Back from there, Nick Chacon, Cody Cosgrove is going to round out all of the drivers in this field. Ready to go racing for the first heat of the night in RX2. We are underway, and it's already 3 wide as they dive into the first corner. How is it going to work as they work their way through the International Horseshoe, getting out to the early lead? It's already the 2-time feature race winner this season, Connor Berry, and we've got flipping in the back. It looks like Zachary Drapkin's going all sorts of crazy, with Sean Winkler and Damian Jensen also involved.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what happened there, Josh. That was a bit crazy. It looks like the two got together. They're going into the first turn, and then it kind of just developed from there. So that's really, really interesting there. But no surprises. Look who's out front, Josh. It's Connor Berry again.
We'll grab a quick replay of it. What exactly happened there? It looked to be a very, very hard incident for Zachary Drapkin, and we'll go back a little bit more here in just a moment. But Drapkin especially flipping up and over all sorts of cattywampus as he worked his way through the international horseshoe. There you can see the 3 wide up ahead with your 3 leaders. Where did this incident begin? It looks like it started with the 2 Subarus making contact there, and a hard hit into the pylons for Damian Jensen and Sean Winkler. And that is going to take them out of this heat race, and that inadvertently now also is going to move the number 2 machine of Zachary Drapkin into 4th. It'll move Jensen and Winkler into the pit lane, but you can see them there towed back right back where they started. So that'll keep them out of the top 4 for the moment, but you see those Joker lanes already starting to come into play in as Cody Cosgrove goes for a Joker. Is it going to be enough? No, it won't. He will get his Joker lane out of the way, but unlike Knock Hill that we had at round number 1, this track has a shortcut for a Joker because we are on the other side of the pond. Sonoma wasn't that much of a shortcut. Definitely here at Daytona, it is a lot more time gained on the drivers in front of you than it is at Sonoma, and at a lot of other tracks, this is one of the shortest Jokers we've got.
Yeah, and it's fun to watch the drivers come down this long, stretch here. I call it a straightaway. There's a little bit of a kink here where if you're familiar with the Daytona road course, this is familiar to you as well. But you can see there the Joker is that inner hairpin line that the drivers are taking the outside right now, and it's very important for these drivers to stay inside that blend line, Josh, because if you get more than 2 tires out of that, that's going to be a slowdown penalty, and it's really easy to do that, especially if you get a little bit of understeer coming off the corner.
So Connor Berry still with the Joker lap remaining. Cody Cosgrove basically stuck now in 2nd place as Nick Chacon will sit in 3rd with Zachary Drapkin behind him. As everybody in this field that is still currently running, of course, take Jensen and Winkler out of that equation. Connor Berry has yet to take his Joker, and it looks like he's going to go ahead and save it for the final lap. Basically a win wrapped up here if he does not make any mistakes here on the final lap. And we'll see him work his way over and across the start-finish line, and graciously enough giving us his view from inside of his virtual cockpit here tonight. And you can just see the focus on his face here as he navigates this very difficult Daytona Rallycross course.
Yeah, and Connor had to work very, very hard in practice this week. This track, it wasn't as natural to him as some of the other tracks that he's raced, but he's put in a lot of work this week, and obviously it's paid off as he's out in front again here for Heat 1 as we see him going into the final quarter here to take the Joker.
We'll take that Joker lane. A very, very easy run through the Joker lap for Connor Berry. And he's going to walk away with your heat number 1 victory. A great way to start for the Jim Beaver Esports machine, trying to continue his streak of RX2 feature race wins. He's already into the feature. We'll have to see how he can do in that penultimate race of the night. But Nick Chacon going to come across the line as well as Zachary Drapkin works his way across the line to finish out our first heat race of the night. We get ready for heat race number 2. Let's grab a look at that starting grid as we get ready for this next heat of action. Starting on the pole, it will be Carson McKenna with Trevor Teal right next to him. Mikey Lawrence, Greg Johnson, Nathan Ramsey. Gonna round out your field here for heat race number 2. Ready to already take that green flag here for the second heat of the night. It's the lights on and away we go. As diving into the international horseshoe, they might go 3 wide again. Here looks like 2 wide as McKenna goes all the way to the bottom. Trevor Teal in the Racecraft TV Subaru trying to go the long way around on the outside. It did not work for him. He's going to settle back to 2nd place as Greg Johnson, Mikey Lawrence going to round out the top 4. Nathan Ramsey going to have to fight from P number 5 to try and get that 4th spot and get that transfer into the feature.
Yeah, if I was Nate and Ramsey here, I'd be taking that Joker as soon as I can and try to get back some of the time that I lost there going through the first hairpin. It's really tough if you're in the back of that stacked up pack there. You're not sure if you want to push it hard and try to gain some positions there, or hang back and make sure that you're not part of a bowling ball situation like we see at Sonoma, Josh. As we see Trevor Teal here, he's going to take the early Joker. Now that kind of puts the pressure on Carson McKenna to come back now and either really close the gap on Trevor and use that Joker lap to make the pass, or take it right back right away, because really that's a smart move there by Teal. If you're trailing, you want to put the pressure on the leader with your Joker strategy.
And you gotta remember, it is a shortcut Joker, so McKenna right on the back bumper of Teal. Not exactly what Teal was looking for, but to get that Joker lane out of the way early, possible that he might just be thinking about getting into the feature, not thinking about necessarily this heat win, because right on by will go the Subaru of Carson McKenna right back into the race lead. And McKenna's not going to go into the Joker lane yet either, so with 3 laps to go, halfway done with this heat, he's gonna stay on the main racetrack. Greg Johnson behind him still has yet to take the Joker as well. So it looks like Mikey Lawrence falling off the pace a little bit towards the back. He is still yet to take his Joker lane as well. So everybody still yet to work their way into the Joker except for Trevor Teal, who will sit in second place. And losing time to the front, looks like Carson McKenna in that number 11 machine tonight, Ian, looking very stout, very quick. If anybody's going to have a run at Connor Berry, it looks like Carson McKenna might be the driver to do it.
Yeah, that's a little bit surprising to see. You know, Carson's a talented driver, but he's very inexperienced, especially in league races, as we see him here in the Fisher Disc Golf Bolt Jet Subaru, coming out of the final quarter back to the start-finish line and start his 4th lap. It's really interesting here as you see it go over that jump, that, to see the strategies that the drivers are taking over the jump. I've been kind of watching that a little bit, because it's a jump that you can't take full out. You have to really modulate the throttle going over the jump, and the way you set yourself up for the next corner is very, very important to carry speed. But there's a few different ways to do it, and you can see Carson there was just really throwing his car as far as he could to the left to set up for that turn, and that's something I haven't seen from him so far in practice this week.
And he will save that Joker lane for the final lap as he works his way through the International Horseshoe and will come through the iRacing Rallycross pylons and go on to the final lap of this heat race. Up and over the jump, through the dirt section again for McKenna. Towards the back of the field and towards that transfer spot, Mikey Lawrence is definitely holding on to it well, as 17 seconds some odd behind is Nathan Ramsey in the 5th position. So it looks like it'll be a 3-car LCQ with Nathan Ramsey starting in the 2nd spot, as we have 2 drivers who will advance to the LCQ out of the 1st heat race, and then 1 more off of this 2nd heat race. But coming across the line to finish this lap, it will be Carson McKenna, who's going to walk away with that heat race victory, as Trevor Teal is going to barely edge out Greg Johnson for that 3rd spot. That will conclude tonight's heat races. We get ready for the LCQ, and here is how they finished in heat number 2. Carson McKenna, Trevor Teal, Greg Johnson, Mikey Lawrence, and Nathan Ramsey going to round out the drivers who started in heat race number 2. Time to grab a look at your starting grid for the LCQ as Nathan Ramsey comes across the line and session changes over to the consolation race. Here's how they're going to line up here in the LCQ. Just 3 drivers, very light LCQ with Damian Jensen, Nathan Ramsey, and Sean Winkler ready to take the green flag. Remember, we are only going to take 2 from this heat. We will eliminate 1 out of this LCQ. It'll be a natural 3-wide start, as everybody will be starting on the same row at the front of the grid, ready to take the green flag here for the LCQ after heat race number 2. We're underway. It's still 3 wide, but getting the best start will be Nathan Ramsey. He's going to not elect to go 3 wide. It's side by side between Winkler and Jensen. Jensen with a big boost of momentum on the inside line, and he's going to walk away with the early lead. Sean Winkler falls to 2nd, and Nathan Ramsey going to have to play catch up from 3rd if he wants a spot in the feature.
Yeah, he's really going to have to make up some ground quick or try to cut it back with that Joker lane. And it's going to be interesting to see this battle now between Jensen and Winkler. Remember, they got together in the first heat, kind of cost each other. And that's the reason why they're in this LCQ, which, like you said earlier, you only got to finish at the top 2 to make it to the feature. But it'll be interesting to see if there's any more fireworks between the 2.
Fireworks, definitely. That is all that we saw at the opening lap of heat number 1. No incidents in the opening lap here at the LCQ, but both of the front runners, and they got all 3 of the drivers here in the LCQ electing to stay on the racetrack. They won't take to that Joker lane yet. Back into the dirt section for Damian Jensen, who we see hopping over that jump there. Currently leading the way here in the LCQs. We ride on board with Damian Jensen, looking back on Winkler and Ramsey, who sit behind, and you can see that gap now growing as Sean Winkler looks like he might have had an incident here on the racetrack, lost a ton of time in that number 17. It'll fall to about 5.5 and continuing to fall back now to 6 seconds gone of the race lead. Jensen gonna stay on the racetrack, won't Joker, neither will Winkler this time by. It looks like neither will Ramsey, who sits way far behind and working his way through the International Horseshoe here. Halfway through the LCQ, and problems looks like for Damian Jensen. He is slow off the jump, a slowdown it looks like here in for the Ford Fiesta. He gets back going, but take a look at the battle for the lead. It's now shrunk down to less than 2 seconds.
Yeah, matching slowdown penalties. It's almost like we're playing football. We have offsetting penalties, right? But yeah, I think that's what happened to Sean as well when he came across the start-finish line. Those 2 turtles right before the jump, you have to be really careful with those. You get almost even a quarter over one of those, and you're going to get a slowdown penalty, and I think that's what happened to both of our drivers here.
Didn't seem to hurt Jensen too much. He got back on the loud pedal and started to pull away once again, and with 2 to go here in the LCQ, still with a comfortable lead up at the front. Sean Winkler sits in second. He's got a comfortable gap over Nathan Ramsey, who will sit farther behind in P number 3. And remember, we're taking the top 2 here from the LCQ, so looks like Ramsey going to be the lone driver going home off of this last chance qualifier. Of course, assuming we don't have any mistakes from Jensen and Winkler up at the front of this field. But the Ford Fiesta currently leading the way of Damian Jensen. Is he going to Joker this time by? He will save it for the final lap as he'll navigate his way through the International Horseshoe. White flag will be out this time by here for the LCQ of RX2. Coming up next, we will have the feature race of RX2, and then after post-race interviews for RX2 and a small practice session, we will have RX1 action. That is the best of the best when it comes to iRacing Rallycross World Championship competitors, and hopefully future World Championship competitors alike will be going head-to-head. We saw 20 drivers try and qualify at Sonoma 2 weeks ago. We'll see if we have the same turnout that we had tonight and have to cut half the field away and send them home, or we'll see if we have anywhere even close to that number again. As coming across the line through the Joker lap once again and taking the checkered flag, it will be Damian Jensen, who's going to walk away with the victory here in the LCQ, and grabbing the second spot and final transfer into the feature race. It will be Sean Winkler. So LCQ over and done. Here's how they came across the line. Like we mentioned, Jensen and Winkler. That will grab those final 2 transfer spots to the feature. Nathan Ramsey is going to finish in P number 3. And he is going to be eliminated from the proceedings tonight off of that last chance qualifier. So now going through the heats, now through the last chance qualifier, we've got 10 drivers ready to take the track in the feature. And I think what we're seeing is what we saw both in the World Championship of iRacing Rallycross and through the qualifying series of iRacing Rallycross last season. Here at Daytona, everybody loves saving those Joker laps for the last possible moment. We saw it in the LCQ. We saw it in both of the heats. Do you think we're going to see the same story when we go racing in the feature tonight?
Yeah, unless you make a mistake or you're really trying to throw somebody's strategy off, Josh, like it's really the best decision is to wait to use that Joker lap until the very, very end, because even if you have the guy on your tail in second right there and you go on the final lap and you both have your Joker, you're still going to be able to stay in front of them since it's the shortcut. So really you'll just see drivers hang on to it as long as they can, or you'll see them use it as a get out of jail free card. I'm interested to see too Damian Jensen there. I was watching him in the LCQ and he was no slouch. You know, he got into that accident in the first heat, but it'll be interesting to see what he could do here with his first start in Racecraft TV.
With just a couple seconds remaining here in the warm-up session, do you think Connor Berry can go 3 in a row? Because it has been the story of the Jim Beaver Esports driver here in RX2. 2 feature race wins at Knock Hill and Sonoma. Can he complete the three-peat and be the undefeated driver in RX2? We have not seen dominance like this. And I can think of last season with Tor Andre Borison, but other than that, I don't think anybody has gone 3 in a row of RX2 feature races.
Yeah, and Connor's very talented on dirt. I will say, Josh, if there's a track up to this point that might be a bit of a chink in the armor for Connor, this one might be it. I still think he has a really good shot, as we saw in the first heat. He's incredibly quick around this course, but during practice, the consistency was the thing that he was working on the most there, and it wasn't coming as automatic as it usually does. And this is not to put him down at all, just to show that all these drivers have to work very hard to get to where they're at. As we see the starting grid here, Josh, and Connor Berry will be starting in first on the front row.
Winner of heat number 1, he starts first on the front row with Carson McKenna in second, Cody Crosgrove, Trevor Teal, Nick Chacon, Greg Johnson the top 6. Zachary Drapkin and Mikey Lawrence are going to start 7th and 8th, with Damian Jensen and Sean Winkler off the heels of the LCQ, starting in the final 2 spots. Ready to go racing for the 3rd feature race of the season for RX2. They are on the start line, ready to go. Let's go racing for the feature. It's 3 wide as they dive into turn number 1. Down the inside is Connor Berry. Everybody trying to funnel in. Berry goes wide. Berry's going to be falling down the outside line, making contact with a couple more drivers. He makes contact with Zachary Drapkin as well. More spinning towards the back. Winkler's into the tires. So is Johnson. So is Drapkin. But Cody Crosgrove gets away with an early lead. Slow down for Connor Berry off the jump as well, Ian. He's going to be falling further back and forth place.
Oh my goodness, what pandemonium right off the start there. We just had drivers spinning all over the place, and it's a tough turn for those drivers to navigate. You saw even some of our most talented drivers had a tough time going around that international horseshoe there, and it really is challenging coming off that standing start with cold tires. You slide around a lot more than you're expecting to, and we can see that it got a few people there.
Nobody jokering up at the front, but it was a wild first lap. Is Connor Berry going to joker? No, he won't. He's going to stay on the racetrack for the moment. 1 lap down, and what an opening lap it was. We'll grab a look at just exactly what happened there. It looked like multiple drivers making contact off of that start. Here's a replay of the full start here, and it just looked like a bowling alley going down into the International Horseshoe. I know we talk about Sonoma first turn after the start being a bowling alley. Looked very similar here. 4 wide for a moment. There's a bit of the contact. It looks like we got a little bit more of it there as Winkler went spinning into the wall. Looked like Nick Chacon involved as well. Carson McKenna's in it as well. Greg Johnson also involved.
Yeah, if you were towards the back of the pack there, it's just so hard to avoid. I will say the one, Sonoma is definitely a more treacherous bowling alley, but here at Daytona, going into the International Horseshoe, it's just as hard for these drivers to do, like we were talking about earlier. And I think there's a little bit added to it because you have to exit the corner with that constant radius while you're accelerating. Oh, as we see just a bit of a bump there, but really good on Trevor Teal for holding on to that, Josh. It is not easy to keep control when you get hit that hard in the rear like we saw Trevor getting hit there.
Now Teal up at the lead has taken his joker lap. You can see that on our timing tower. So he is in the lead, but still 2 drivers behind him that are within striking distance if they come into the joker, and Teal taking that turn wide there. Definitely not going to help him at the front of this field. Cody Crosgrove sits in second, but how about that driver who currently sits in P3? This is Damian Jensen, who qualified in off of the last chance qualifier after being involved in an early incident in heat race number 1. And he runs in 3rd place right now with a really good chance at walking away with this feature race win here, and if he can hold on to this top front spot, because Crosgrove, who currently sits in second, right on the heels of Trevor Teal, 1 joker lap from Jensen, he could pass both of these drivers and take that race lead. As we see Teal lock up, here comes the battle for the lead from Crosgrove.
Yeah, and the more these 2 drivers battle, and now we see a 3rd driver here as Teal and Cosgrove make contact. We'll see if they can get it back together. Oh, and that's going to take Jensen out too. It looks like who's back in front again, Josh? Connor Berry somehow back at the front of the pack.
Took the joker lap on the last time by, and you could see the pandemonium that just ensued as Damian Jensen still trying to get rolling at the front of the field. Connor Berry now to the front. A little bit of a slowdown looks like for him as well. He has gathered it back up, and he will continue to lead the way, with him leading. McKenna in second, who has also already taken to the Joker lap. And more chaos ensuing here from the virtual Daytona International Speedway. Let's see what on earth happened here between these drivers. It looked like it started with Trevor Teal versus Cody Cosgrove. Wondering how exactly it started. As you can see, Cosgrove going to the inside. Connor Berry comes back on the racetrack, and Cosgrove makes contact with Teal. Teal ends up going into the tire barrier, and here comes Cosgrove to make a little bit more contact, but it also looked like, as we'll rewind it back one more time, also looked like Cody Cosgrove did come back onto the racing line, making contact with Damian Jensen, and right there's that contact, and that sent the Ford Fiesta of Jensen around as well. So more shakeups at the front of the field, as now back to the race lead goes Connor Berry. 5 laps to go, or 4 to go, excuse me, here from the virtual Daytona International Speedway. And Connor Berry now in looking stout to get his 3rd feature race win in a row. And I mean, what more can we say about the Jim Beaver Esports Subaru? So fast every single round of this season, and continuing to show just exactly why he is always at the front. He's always got speed, and just putting himself right place at the right time. He took the Joker. It's almost like he could read the future. He took the Joker before that incident happened, and right after he does, chaos ensues behind him, gives him a 5-second lead over Carson McKenna.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right with the way that incident washed back across the field. There's no guarantees that Connor wouldn't have got caught up in that as well. And yeah, I don't know how many times we're going to invert the field again in this, final feature race here for RX2, Josh. It seems like we're doing it every 2 laps, so I think we're due for another one here soon. But it just goes to show that's why you keep pulling, that's why you keep digging, because you'll find yourself like Connor Berry back at the start of this race, and that goes for Carson McKenna in second as well. He got caught up early in that wreck, and look at it now. You plug away, you do your laps, and anything can happen here in Rallycross. It's very true.
So coming through the dirt section with 2 laps to go, it is Connor Berry. We go further back, battle for 4th between Sean Winkler and Zachary Drapkin. Drapkin has had an up and down night, but looking for a top 5 here in the feature. Sean Winkler, however, still has yet to take the Joker, so it looks like he might be in prime position to jump over Cody Cosgrove, who sits in that 3rd spot, who we see at the front of this battle. We'll see how it is going to be effective whenever Winkler chooses to come into the Joker lane, whether it's this time by or next time by on that white flag lap. Winkler across the Joker this time by, and he is not going to elect to take it. That means he's going to save it for this lap. The final lap of this race is Connor Berry is going to drift it through the dirt section for the final time here at the virtual Daytona International Speedway. He was able to claim the win at Knock Hill, was able to claim the win at Sonoma. We were wondering when this kid was going to be done. In round number 3 here at Daytona, he is showing that he is the driver to beat when it comes to the RX2 Championship for Season 2 of Racecraft TV Rallycross. Through the final couple of corners, and he is going to come to the line. The smile hits his face, and Connor Berry, winner of the RX2 feature race from Daytona. 3 rounds, 3 wins for the Jim Beaver Esports Subaru.
Yeah, and that's really fun that we get to see, Connor's live reaction there, and to see that it means a lot to these drivers. You know what I mean? You hear all the time it's, not a game, it's a simulation, but, these guys put a lot of work in and they take it seriously, and to see them have their hard work pay off and see that positive emotion is something that's really fun to see here as the rest of the field here finishes up their feature race.
Of course, Connor Berry being more known for the Eve short course side of things, trying his hand at Rallycross, and I think it's safe to say he is excelling at the class. Time to take a look at your full race results. It's Connor Berry who walks away with yet another feature race win. Carson McKenna in second. Sean Winkler will take P3. Cody Cosgrove and Zachary Drapkin going to round out the top 5, with Trevor Teal finishing in 6th place. Mikey Lawrence in 7th. Back from there, Damian Jensen, Nick Chacon, and Greg Johnson. We're going to round out your full race results from tonight's RX2 feature race. What a fantastic start to the night. And of course, we're going to have even more upcoming as we still have the RX1 action to come tonight. But we're going to be able to talk with your feature race winner here from the virtual Daytona International Speedway. And as with us in the booth now is Connor Berry. And Connor, what more can we say? 3 races, 3 feature race wins. You got to be feeling pretty good right now in your Jim Beaver Esports Subaru.
Yeah, for sure. Tonight was fun, and I'm proud to get the win again. It sucks that I had the contact on the first turn with Carson McKenna. It definitely changed the whole race, and I do want to apologize to him for that. I really did not mean to. I was on the brakes far as I can be, and it just slid. But I mean, it all comes back to me. I'm not a pro at these, and I'm just trying to learn. So that's why I am in RX2 and not RX1.
And working your way, of course, through the heats, you qualified on the pole, you were able to grab your heat win, and you were able to grab this feature race win. Going through the championship now, we're going to start to be counting 2 drop weeks. You're still going to have the lead with 23 perfect points. Are you focusing much on the championship? I know you and the Jim Beaver Esports team always love to be in victory lane for the sponsors, but are you really focusing on this championship, trying to grab that RX2 championship and then graduate up to RX1 in the next season of Rallycross?
For sure. I mean, the points that's just always our goal. Definitely, I would like to see the points gap, but with all these drop races, it's kind of hard to see on that. But after round 4, I think we should get somewhat of a clue of where we are at. I just know if I want to be there at the end, I just need to keep consistent and just be smart. Tonight I knew it was gonna be close. I mean, those qualifying times are pretty dang close, and it shows why it's just so awesome to be here. I've been told tons of times that I should not be in RX2, I should be in RX1, but I mean, our times are close, and the race would have been close if it wasn't for my mistake, which comes back to I'm still new. So I mean, obviously I just want to keep being smart and just keep clocking off all of these top 5.
Working your way now into Atlanta in 1 week's time. Do you think you can grab another feature race win there?
I think I can. I mean, that track is probably one of my favorite. It is for sure sketchy though. So trying to not cut is going to be pretty dang rough, but I think I can do it.
Thank you very much once again for your time here in the post-race show, Connor. Congratulations on yet another feature race win here in RX2. We'll see you in Atlanta.
Thank you.
Great to hear once again from Connor Berry in. And now moving on to second place, Carson McKenna. You're standing by with the driver now.
Carson, great drive today. That was good enough to end you up in second place for you there. What was your strategy going into that feature race, knowing you were going to be on the front row? And what was your strategy after the whole first lap kerfuffle?
Well, yeah, coming off the line, I was just trying to, give everybody a little bit of room, but, it still didn't work out, obviously. But, yeah, after all the wrecking, I was just trying to go as fast as I could, stay clean, obviously, and just hope something happened, and it worked out.
And something indeed did happen. And when you saw that you were back in second place, were you surprised, or did you kind of know if you just put your head down and put your laps and put your times in that you're going to get back to the front eventually?
Yeah, that's what I was hoping, was just kind of just keep driving, hope something happens, like I said, and it did happen. It did surprise me, though. That was in second. I thought maybe I picked up one place because I saw, I think it was Teal off the side of the jump. So I figured, okay, I'm in fourth now, and that's obviously second. So yeah, that was definitely a surprise.
Well, surprises are sometimes nice to have, and your surprise was ending up in P2 tonight. Is there anybody you want to shout out? Anybody you want to thank, Carson?
Oh, you most of all, obviously. Let me drive for you and everything, and all the help you've given. Also want to thank Robbie for helping me a lot with this track and figuring it out.
Well, yeah, Robbie's a lot of help. He's talking about Robbie Relil in the RX1 class that we're getting ready to watch here, Josh. Carson, thanks a lot, and congratulations on your P2 effort.
Oh, thank you.
Good to hear, of course, from Carson McKenna. And we'll round out these podium interviews for RX2 with Sean Winkler. A third-place finish for you, Sean, and I think this is definitely what you were looking for, especially after your Heat 1 chaos there on the opening lap. Talk about that.
Oh, man, I just got missiled right into the start-finish line. You know, that's part of Rallycross. That happens. Sometimes it happens to you, and sometimes you do it.
Well, you were able to bounce back through the last chance qualifier and qualify into the feature race. And then, of course, more chaos ensues in the feature, and you end up P3. How difficult was it to make up places through that feature race, or do you feel like everybody was kind of wrecking around you and you were able to gain all those spots easy?
I just blacked out, and now here I am in the broadcast room. I don't know what happened. I heard some wrecks, I heard some yelling, and all of a sudden I realized I was in fourth with a lap to go, and I had a joker available, and I took it. And man, I got lucky. I just let the race come to me. I just kept going.
Well, we hope to see you in Atlanta in 2 weeks' time, Sean.
Yeah.
Congratulations on your podium finish, and go celebrate by watching some RX1 action.
I am. I'm going to celebrate. I'm going to eat some Dick's burgers, and I'd like to thank the fans in the stands and Ian Fisher for the paint on my car. It's sick. So hit up Ian if you need paint.
Thank you very much. That is Sean Winkler finishing P3 here tonight in RX2. We'll grab a short break here on Racecraft TV, but do not go anywhere. It is RX1 coming up. Some of the best of iRacing Rallycross are ready to take the track. We've got 11 drivers on track for practice right now. We'll have updates from qualifying and getting you ready for the RX1 action tonight when we return.
Going to go to the start of this one because the revs are rising. Away they go for the feature race here.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
And welcome back to the virtual Daytona International Speedway. We welcome you back to Racecraft TV Rallycross. Joshua Lee joined alongside Ian Fisher here in the booth. Once again, all the cameras we are using tonight have been created by Istvan Balo at trackcams22.com. And it's time for RX1, which very quickly we'll take another look at that schedule. And it seemed like these RX1 drivers struggled a bit at Knock Hill, and then they kind of found their footing when it came to the Sonoma Raceway. But now going back to Daytona, track that all of these drivers should be insanely familiar with. I think we might see some more interesting racing tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a real treat, Josh. All these drivers are incredibly familiar with this track. This is a world championship track. Like you said, it's from the beginning of really the iRacing Rallycross genesis, if you will. Daytona International Speedway here, one of the original tracks. So it'd be really fun to see these drivers attack it very aggressively with the familiarity they have with it, and also the little bit of flexibility they have with their open setups, Josh.
Yeah, we'll get to that race analysis now, of course, with the 6x incident limit versus the 8x of RX2. And you can see that open setup as well. So we'll have the same basic format, 5-lap heats, 2 of them, top 4 advancing, 5-lap LCQ with top 2 advancing from that, and then a 10-lap feature race main event to finish out the evening. Let's grab a look at the points format that we, of course, had for RX2, but we also have here for RX1, and it's very interesting to look at, of course, because we have those heat races, and with 12 drivers here, we're going to have about 6 in each of the heat races tonight. So each winner of the heat will be earning 8 points. Each last place of the heat will be earning 3. And then in the feature race, of course, winner earns 15 points. A perfect night would be 23 points. And Ian, so far this season, perfect night for Josh Fox from Sonoma. He currently holds the lead because with one drop week being factored in, Christian Rufus Lindo did not have a perfect event at Knock Hill, so he sits second place with 22.
Yeah, and you look at the plethora of talented drivers we have going down the list, you know, Connor Perez, Jacob Rothfuss, Garrett Maines, Josh Klogg, Adam Alderton, all these guys, Tarajay Borison, last year's RX2 championship. All these guys have a chance to make a charge for that top spot. So really, no week is safe. Even with that drop week, you still want to put out the most consistent performance you can at any one of these tracks.
Definitely do not want to be slouching on this racetrack, especially with the caliber of drivers that we have in this field as well. Let's talk again about this Daytona International Speedway track, and I think we saw a little bit of the nuances of this track coming into play there in RX2, in with a lot of the drivers in the feature saving their joker lanes for the last lap or close to the end of this race. With such a heavy shortcut on that international horseshoe, that seems to be the strategy that everybody is going to employ, especially here in RX1, because unlike Atlanta, it's not cutting off a major section of the track, but it is just enough to where you can get a little bit more of a boost and kind of be able to gain a gap to the drivers behind.
Yeah, it's a really dramatic joker lane as well, because the dump off for it after you get out of it is right at the start finish line there. So really, I think it's set up for the viewers at home and us in the booth, Josh, to see some exciting finishes there as we see drivers hold on to it for the last lap, or maybe take it early if they know that they're faster than everybody else, to just give them that extra boost away from the field.
And to remind you, of course, of the 2 drivers who are currently winning feature races, Josh Fox as well as Christian Rufus Lindo. They are the 2 to have won feature races this season. Josh Fox in the Hanson Williams Esports machine comes in as your current points leader. He is looking to come out of this race still a points leader here tonight. About 40 seconds remaining here in qualifying before we'll take a look at that starting grid when it comes to tonight's first heat for RX1. As right now, drivers finishing up their qualifying laps. Josh Fox, your current points leader, currently sits in P number 4 on the speed charts out of 12 drivers who will be looking to try and qualify for tonight's feature race. And as time expires on qualifying, Ian, just, of course, quick thoughts on what you're seeing currently on the leaderboard is Jakob Rafas and Connor Parisi currently sit top 2.
Yeah, that really, doesn't surprise me. Any of these drivers being the top 2, it doesn't surprise me, Josh. And that just is a testament to the caliber of drivers that we do have here in RX1. It's really anybody's race every week. And I think that's what makes it a lot of fun, is it's hard to sit here and be like one driver has an advantage over another. I do know that we always see the practice machine of Robbie Larill putting in those practice laps till 2-3 in the morning. Same with guys like Josh Edmondson, Daniel Eisch, all these guys working super hard day and night just to put in the practice for these feature races that they're trying to make right now.
They're all on the grid here for the heat race, the first one of the night. Jakob Rafas will start on the pole. Robbie Larill to his outside in second place. Josh Edmondson, Josh Clogg with Daniel Eisch and Marcus Palacio. Gonna round out the 6 drivers who will look to take to the starting grid here for heat race number 1. Just waiting on that number 213 of Robbie Larill to take to the grid. There he is. And we will get ready to go racing here for heat race number 1 for RX1. We saw some fireworks in RX2. Will we see the same here in RX1? It's a green flag for heat race number 1. Jakob Rafas with a lightning quick start. He'll be down the inside of his teammate in the Jim Beaver Esports Dirtfish Machines. That's Rafas leading. It's Edmondson in second. Larill going to try and settle into third. He'll do exactly that. He's getting turned from the back. Marcus Palacio, a hard hit into the tire barrier. And he is going to be stopped right before the jump as race leader Jakob Rafas trying to pull away. Here comes Robbie Larill to try and fight with Josh Edmondson for third.
And you really hate to see that from Marcos. That'll probably relegate him to the LCQ as we see him in the background there. He was pleased to get able to get back on the track and get going there, but it's really easy to lock it up and overdrive into that turn going up to the jump, and it's a very tight technical turn you have to take to get onto the jump to begin with. So that's why you might see some drivers struggling with it a little bit, Josh, as we see. I think that was Robbie Larill in the background taking an early joker lap to try to put some pressure here on Jakob Rafas.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to grab the lead off of that joker lane, but he will be able to grab second place, albeit for the moment, as you can see Josh Edmondson still right on that back bumper. But the battle for the lead for the moment does become a little bit more interesting as Jakob Rafas currently holds that race lead, and you can see him just a little tap to the handbrake as they come through that right-hander. He'll roar down the straightaway through the curves. And we'll see if he takes the joker lane this time by. It'll be halfway done with this feature over this heat race this time by heat race number 1. Remember, we take the top 4 from this heat race. So right now, Daniel Eisch currently sits on the outside looking in, and with 5 seconds to Josh Clogg up ahead of him, it looks like it's going to be night over in terms of the heat for Daniel Eisch and Marcus Palacio. They will still have that LCQ later on tonight to work with, but there's your top 4. All 4 of these drivers currently into the feature race if they finish where they're currently running. And you can see all of them still running very close together on this racetrack as they all follow Jakob Rafas.
Yeah, it's fun to watch the different strategies the drivers take around that tight right-hander onto the bank part of the tri-oval there from the oval course back onto the road course section there. And you see Jacob is using a little bit of handbrake, whereas Robbie is just slowing way down and taking the turn as tight as he can. So that's a spot, especially in this RX1 class, that it's fun to see what different drivers will do, the different strategies they'll take to get around this track as fast as possible. And I will say those Dirtfish Subarus are looking mighty strong today, Josh.
And they will take the white flag this time by as the Jim Beaver Esports machine of Jakob Rafas is looking to run away with a heat race number 1 victory. Kind of became the spoiler in the iRacing Rallycross World Championship presented by Yokohama this season. Nobody really expected him to come in, and he came in and was able to save himself from a relegation by just a handful of points, and was able to keep that pro license when it comes to iRacing Rallycross. He works his way now back through the dirt section, and he'll be coming across the line this time by. Took the joker lane last time just to solidify himself in the current race lead. And he's just as quickly going to come back around to the line and take the checkered flag of heat race number 1. Top 4 advancing their way to the feature. No pressure on Josh Clogg in 4th place, and no pressure on your current race leader as Jakob Rafas is going to come across the line, and he wins heat race number 1 here tonight. Josh Edmondson is going to come across the line for third. Robbie Lareau will take second, and Josh Clogg is going to take the final spot in the feature race out of heat race number 1. So it's Rafas, Lareau, Edmondson, and Clogg, the top 4. Aish and Palacio are going to have to go into the LCQ and have to try and qualify their way into the feature race tonight. Take a look at the grid for heat race number 2. Connor Parisi will start on first with Josh Fox in second. David Schofield and Bodie Cryer going to share that next row with Ryan Murray and Marshall Stanley rounding out these 6 drivers, and same order as heat race number 1 with 6 drivers ready to take the green flag here tonight as they all line up and ready to begin the second heat race of the night. Saw a bit of fireworks there in heat race number 1, and we'll have to wait and find out if we're going to see the same fireworks here in heat race number 2 as everybody gets on the grid. There is your current points leader, Josh Fox, who sits in the middle of the front row. Green flag will be displayed, and we will go green here in heat race number 2. 3 wide down into turn number 1. It's Parisi on the bottom. It's Fox in the middle. Fox is going to try and settle into that inside line. Bodie Cryer having a check up. David Schofield on the outside. Also having to get a bit of a touch to the brakes, but he is able to hold on to that 4th spot. Ryan Murray, Marshall Stanley follow behind. Very loose off the jump goes David Schofield. Off track almost goes Marshall Stanley as Connor Parisi holds the lead, but points leader Josh Fox is hot on his heels.
Yeah, I'm surprised it took us this long to see some drivers having troubles off of the jump. It's kind of deceptive as we see the 2 drivers of Parisi and Fox here jostling for the lead, going back into the back and forth here to the International Horseshoe. But it's very deceptive coming over that jump. That wall comes at you fast, and it's a very hard left to right turn after that. So I'm surprised we're seeing the drivers get through as clean as we are, but there we see the first bobbles coming over the jump tonight.
Very, very early joker for Josh Fox. He chooses lap number 1 to get it over with. So now he sits in your current race lead as Connor Parisi will sit behind him. Bodie Cryer, David Schofield is your top 4 currently. How is this going to shake out? As Parisi now is going to have to take to the joker lane sooner. He might lose touch of Josh Fox, who currently holds your race lead. Is he going to joker this time? No, he won't. Seems like the Jim Beaver Esports Subaru here is pretty confident in his ability to hold on to that 2nd spot. David Schofield just came into the joker, and lucky enough for Connor Parisi, ends up behind him in P3. This will keep Parisi close to the Hanson Williams Esports machine of Josh Fox for the race lead of Heat 2.
Yeah, Josh has got to say, or I'm sorry, Parisi has got to stay really close to Josh Fox's back bumper there, but at the same time, you got to think that Josh is very, very confident if he took that early joker lap to get out in front of everybody, because if you're going to do that, you have to know you're going to be fast enough to at least put a 2-second lead on the person behind you.
2 laps to go here for heat race number 2 tonight. Across the line they go. They continue to race on as Josh Fox holds the lead. Connor Parisi in hot pursuit, but he needs to gain just a little bit more time. With a joker lap, it looks like he's going to be fairly good off is going into the feature race. Of course, he is very safe of 4th place in that last transfer spot. However, if he's racing for this heat win, he's got a little bit more time to make up. It's 1.7 seconds now, the gap in, and that's getting a little bit hairy when it comes to the joker lap in Delta. He's going to joker this time. How is this going to work out for Jim Beaver Esports? Connor Parisi, is Josh Fox going to hold the lead? And it looks like Parisi might have waited 1 lap too late as Josh Fox is going to hold on to the race lead.
Yeah, I think it was 1 lap too late, and like I said earlier, Josh Fox, he was looking for the win by jokering that early. That was a strategy, because if you're just looking for the top 4 spots, there's no need to joker that early, you know what I mean? You could sit where you're at if you're as fast as Josh Fox and hold on to that. So you got to think he was going for the win here, and it looks like his strategy is about to pay off.
No battle for the transfer. This is the closest battle on the racetrack for this win here in heat race number 2. Through the final corner, the International Horseshoe and across the line, grabbing the win in heat race number 2. The feature race winner from Sonoma, Hanson Williams Esports' Josh Fox. is going to walk away with your second heat race victory of RX1 tonight. With a Joker lap on the final lap, looks like Bodie Cryer has been able to walk away with P3. That will move David Schofield down into P4. Connor Parisi finishes in second place. He will transfer into the feature. Ryan Murray and Marshall Stanley are getting ready now for the race that we're all getting ready for here on Racecraft TV, that being the last chance qualifier. Daniel Eisch will start on the pole, Ryan Murray in second, Marcus Palacio and Marshall Stanley will round out the entire field here for the LCQ. We will be cutting 2 of these drivers off and eliminating them from tonight's proceedings. So we're going to take the top 2. We'll take Eisch and Murray. And then Palacio and if Eisch and Murray finish in first and second, we'll be taking both of them. If Palacio and Stanley finish in third and fourth, we'll be eliminating them. So whoever finishes third and fourth, we're going to have to say goodbye to them here tonight. And first and second will live to fight in the feature race. Racing now in the last chance qualifier. How intense is this race for the final transfer spots into the feature going to be? And it looks like Marcus Palacio having a tow right back into the pit lane. That'll take one driver out of the race for the transfer spot. That basically leaves Ryan Murray now to have to pick up the pieces in third, trying to fight the Ford Fiesta in front of him of Daniel Eisch.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened with Marcos off the start there. I think maybe his steering wheel got twisted around, and you know, sometimes that'll happen if you end with your steering wheel in a weird position when you start. It's kind of at a weird angle, and I think that might have been what happened to Marcos there. We see Daniel Eisch though at the top of this field just trying to check out right now.
Oh, and you can see right there, that was the very quick replay of what happened to Marcus Palacio. We'll go on board. Oh yes, you can see that wheel just turned over to the side. Doesn't even look like it's turning there, Ian. It looks like a hardware issue for Marcus Palacio very early on here in the Joker, and so unfortunate to see. He's been showing some very good promise, and unfortunately now not going to qualify for tonight's feature.
Yeah, that's a tough break. He's a much more talented driver than just driving into the wall like that, so I knew something had to be up. As speaking of talented drivers, we see Daniel Eisch here coming around the dirt hairpin and really checking out on the rest of the field. The battle is going to be between, it looks like, Murray and Stanley there for the transfer spot, Josh.
So Ryan Murray and Marshall Stanley going to continue to fight. That is the Ford Fiesta of Ryan Murray and the Subaru behind him, Marshall Stanley. Murray's going to take to the Joker. Very, very slow entry. Did he have a slowdown on top of that Joker lane entry? I believe he did, because he slowed down exponentially for that entrance into the Joker. And he's now back into live speed with Marshall Stanley in front of him in second place. So the battle for the lead now non-existent. This is a 3-second gap in between Stanley and Eisch, who currently sits at the front. But Daniel Eisch, very, very familiar name here to Racecraft TV Rallycross, in and now leading the way here in the LCQ. The Australian looking to have a good and easy run into the feature race if he makes no mistakes over these next 2 laps.
Yeah, rallycross, motocross, it's just in Daniel Eisch's blood, and we see that here as he's just teched away from the field and really just making some practice laps now at this point for the future race. And really good to see him have success here. He works very, very hard, and he's a mentor to a lot of these younger drivers. And he really doesn't try to get fancy with the setup as well. He takes a lot of pride in using those fixed iRacing setups and trying to show some of the younger, less experienced drivers what is possible with the fixed setup.
That fixed setup seems to be doing wonders for him here in the last chance qualifiers. He is dominating it up at the front and currently also holds the fastest lap of the race at a 40.892. We'll save that Joker lap for the final lap, as now we'll come across the line. White flag is in the air for the last chance qualifier. Marshall Stanley does take to the Joker, and he is going to come out right where he came in second place, and that'll keep Ryan Murray in third. And looks like Ryan Murray in the Ford Fiesta is going to be going home tonight with elimination. Same thing with Marcus Palacio, who faced hardware issues at the start of this LCQ and unfortunately is going to be slated to be eliminated from tonight's event. But Eisch and Stanley are ready to race another day, as through the Joker lane for the final time here in the LCQ, it's Daniel Eisch who's going to walk away with your last chance qualifier victory. And coming across the line in second place, it might be closer than I think we were wondering, but still will be Marshall Stanley, who will come across the line, and he grabs the win here in the last chance qualifier. So Aish and Stanley will be walking away at the final 2 transfer spots. Ryan Murray and Marcus Palacio are going to round out the field, and they have been eliminated from the event. So, Ian, getting ready for the feature race now. We've seen Christian Rafas Lindo, and we have seen Josh Fox walk away with victories in the feature races this season. Seeing a couple of different names be fast, but Josh Fox, of course, with his heat win, is, of course, in the catbird seat for the race win. But I think we cannot discount Connor Parisi, cannot discount, I'd say, Jakob Rafas as well. Both also very, very quick tonight. We could see a lot of different changes for the lead at the front, especially if they all stay close together off of this initial start for the feature.
Yeah, and all these predictions, Josh, are assuming that we have a clean first turn as well,
yeah.
Which these drivers are incredibly talented, and I would say it's less likely that we see our RX1 drivers stack it up in turn 1, but it happens to the best of us, and it happens in real life rallycross as well, and it's just part of the fun here on Rallycross, Racecraft TV Rallycross, and I think we're going to see a clean turn 1, and I'm going to call it now. I think Josh Fox is going to go back-to-back. I think he was really fast in that first heat race, and I don't want to give him the commentator's curse, but he just looks really strong tonight, and that car looks like it's on the metaphorical rails that everyone likes to talk about.
And as we go south of 30 seconds left here in the warm-up, who do you think's walking away with this feature race win? Do you think it'll be a 2 in a row for Josh Fox, or do you think it's going to be somebody else top of the podium?
I think Josh is going to repeat. I think he could go back to back. As long as he gets through that first turn clean and gets in front of the field, I think he's really the car to catch right now. So I think you see Josh Fox get it done, barring any unforeseen circumstances. And it's going to be really interesting to see the battle for the rest of the podium. All the Jim Beaver Esports cars look incredibly strong tonight. And then you got the guys that made it in our LCQ as well, Dan Aish and Stanley. They're going to be hungry as well, coming from the back, and exciting to see what moves they'll try to make there, or what strategies they'll try to play to get in front.
Time for the feature of RX1. It's Jakob Rafas and Josh Fox, who will start on the front row off of heat race wins. You got Robbie Lorel and Connor Parisi will start 3rd and 4th. Josh Edmondson, Bodie Cryer will round out the top 6. Rounding out the field to be Josh Klong and David Schofield, who were able to barely work their way into the feature race off of their heat races. Daniel Aish and Marshall Stanley are going to round out the field. They qualified in from the LCQ. Ready for the feature. It is the pinnacle of tonight's event, and it's time to go racing from the World Center of Racing. We go green. They dive into turn number 1, 3 wide off the jump, and Josh Fox in the middle, trying to walk away with the race lead. Jakob Rafas on the inside. You can see all 3 of those Jim Beaver Esports Dirtfish machines diving into the first corner, into the first dirt section. Josh Fox is going to fall to 3rd as Connor Parisi takes over 2nd place, but Jakob Rafas is pulling away at the front. He's trying to check out for a race win. Josh Edmondson, another Jim Beaver Esports machine, stuck in the middle of the pack, as now Josh Fox is going to have to try and fight for 2nd place away from Parisi. He makes a little bit of contact as they go into the dirt section again.
Yeah, and Rafas there just shot out of a cannon as we see the battle here for 2nd and 3rd. That's the most exciting battle on the track right now. But really, just Jacob got clear of those cars at the front. Didn't make contact with anyone, Josh, in the International Horseshoe. And I think that was the key. That's what led him to get off to such an early lead here at Daytona.
So you can see Josh Fox now in the Hanson Williams Esports Subaru, in hot pursuit of Connor Parisi. Is he going to be able to pass him for that 2nd spot? You can see Parisi and Fox, for that matter, using that inside turtle curve to really turn that car off of the dirt section. A little bit of a bump, a little bit of a left tap, is getting a little bit more of a tap than I think he wanted, was Josh Fox, and he has turned around in the dirt section. That was contact with Robbie Lorel that sent the Hanson Williams Esports Subaru around. Let's take a look at the replay in. It just looked like Lorel got in a little bit too hot, made a little bit more contact than I think he was looking for, and especially at the wrong angle that led to that incident.
Yeah, it's such a hard thing there too when you have two drivers that take two very different lines into that corner. As we see the onboard replay here with Robbie Royal, you'll be able to see kind of what I'm talking about is Robbie takes a very direct line into the corner here, and Josh is kind of trying to arc out a little bit here, and that's it. Really, it's a racing thing. It's very tough, but Robbie's got to know there that you're going to be coming into people there. But when you got a car right behind you as well, it's very hard to slow down and stay off of somebody like that in that situation.
Still at the front of the field is Jakob Raffas, and how about his Jim Beaver Esports teammate Josh Edmondson? He just worked his way through the Joker lane, puts himself up and into the podium places. Oh, he's going to go off track right as we start talking about him, of course, off of the jump. And he is going to be falling down into fourth. He's able to hold on to that fourth spot, albeit not maybe for long, as he's going to go side by side now with that Nitro Circus number 5 of Bodie Cryer. And he's going to slide those tires through the hairpin as well. Now Schofield and Loril are going to go battling. Loril will fall to 7th place as Edmondson able to run away with 4th. Josh Klog goes back up into 3rd place. Now the top 3, all 3 of your podium places are now occupied by drivers who have not yet come into the Joker.
Yeah, no drivers have taken the Joker yet here. Well, I mean, Edmondson and Loril have taken the Joker, but I think that was a little bit of a strategy play on their part and an attempt to get clean air as we see Jacob Raffos here come around the dirt hairpin. And it's been interesting to see how much of these RX1 drivers are really struggling with that dirt hairpin section. You don't always see it, Josh, that these guys have such trouble with that, but you can see how those different approaches and those different tactics could lead to the field getting stacked up. As we see, it looks like Jim Beaver Esports here going to be 2nd, and it looks like at 3rd now, and they're going to try to battle back and catch up to Jacob Raffas. But really, he's the one to catch right now, Josh, and he's the one to beat.
A little bit of a battle further back as well. This is Bodie Cryer versus David Schofield, and it looks like we're going to have a battle for that final podium spot on our hands, at least for the moment. Josh Klog still needs to work his way into the Joker lane. Of course, everybody required to take it at least one time through this race. The Klog still needs to do it, so Edmondson being on his back bumper here shouldn't concern Josh Klog too much, because like we've mentioned, it's a shortcut Joker. So even if Edmondson passes him, when Klog comes into the Joker lane, if he's close enough to Edmondson, he's still going to hold on to that 3rd spot. So right now, all Josh Klog is really wondering is this is a guaranteed 3rd place spot as Edmondson goes very wide off the jump once again. Now going to be in the company of Bodie Cryer, who takes a peek to the inside.
Yeah, Bodie Cryer and that Team Watson machine looking to the inside now. It's you want to be on the inside of that turn, and you see you got pinched off there by coming back onto the asphalt section, and that caused him to go a little bit wide, and Josh is going to get that space back. But yeah, Bodie Cryer had it there for a second and was really giving it to Josh Edmondson. As we see Klog now, it looks like he's going to find out how file behind both of those guys, and I'm not really sure how that transpired.
Oh, and you can see David Schofield going way deep into the International Horseshoe, and he ends up sliding out and having to gather it back up in his Subaru. Back over the jump for Schofield and back through that final dirt section on the side straightaway here off the trioval of the Daytona International Speedway, and right back into the infield road course section for Jakob Raffas, who's looking for his first feature race win of the season. Schofield gonna be side by side now with Cryer. Schofield had that spot just for a moment, and Cryer was able to grab that spot right on back. None of these drivers have taken the Joker lane yet, so this is gonna be a battle through the Joker lane as 2 to go this time by. If Cryer doesn't take it this time, Ian Schofield is basically gonna be required to, because he knows if he takes it at the same time as Cryer, doesn't matter where he is running on the racetrack, he's gonna finish in that spot.
Yeah, Schofield's got to make that move now, and that would explain why he's back behind Bodie Cryer, because he's not Josh Klog, so that would make a lot of sense. But you got to see right now, you see that Schofield's really putting the pressure on, and yeah, I think he's going to have to joker this lap and really make it a one-on-one battle between him and Bodie.
At the front of the field, it's white flag, one final lap here in the feature for Jakob Raffas. And that Jim Beaver Esports Dirtfish Subaru into the Joker lane that time. That was Schofield. So Cryer stayed out. Schofield was able to come into the Joker lane, but you can see how close Cryer is now. Unless Cryer makes a mistake, falls even further behind Schofield. This is how they are going to finish, and Cryer is going to be able to hop back into the top 5. But at the front of the field, a dominating performance. They'll come into the Joker lane on the final lap. It's Jakob Rafas for Jim Beaver Esports, who walks away with his first feature race win of the season in RX1.
Really dominating drive by him. You know, he got out in front, and I feel kind of bad for Josh Fox. I think I did get him with the commentator's curse, but he got out in front in turn 1, and that's really important here, because as soon as you do that, you can just set sail and hang on to your Joker lap, like we saw him do there, and just coast to an easy victory. And you know, nothing ever comes easy here in Racecraft Rallycross TV, especially in RX1, but I think that was about as easy of a drive as we've seen tonight, as we see him burn it down there over in the front stretch area of the oval.
Jakob Rafas walks away with your feature race win. Connor Parisi finishes in 2nd, Josh Clogg in 3rd, Josh Edmondson in 4th, with Bodie Cryer rounding out your top 5. David Schofield with Robbie Larill, Daniel Eisch, Josh Fox, and Marshall Stanley are going to round out the top 10. And the 10 drivers who started the feature race tonight. And what a night of action. What a night of racing in RX2 and then RX1. We saw some fireworks here from the virtual Daytona International Speedway. We'll see if we can grab interviews with your top 3 podium finishers here in the post-race show. But Ian, what a way to come into the virtual Daytona International Speedway. We're officially halfway done with the campaign, and what a way to do it, and at what a place to do it.
Yeah, and really, I think the big storyline this season in any division has to be Connor Berry in that RX2 division, and just the, you know, impressive run that he's on. You know, even these RX1 guys have got to be sitting there going, hey, this is a guy to watch out for if he continues to, you know, climb and move into the RX1 division. This is going to be a tough driver to beat, Josh. And so I'm excited to see if he can make it 4 in a row. I don't see why he can't at this point, but it's kind of fun to watch this string of domination.
And of course, now with Connor Berry still in the points lead there, the RX1 picture is not as clear as RX2, of course, and we're still looking at 3 unique winners in 3 rounds for RX1, and we've got your RX1 feature race winner joining us now here in the booth. It's Jakob Rafas. And Jakob, what a night for you. Domination is the lightest way to put it out on the track. Heat race win, pole position, and feature race win. I know that's got to feel good, especially with a brand new team behind you.
Yeah, it was great. I put up a great lap in qualifying and just did my own thing in heats, and it got my way, and I got the win.
And the doing your own thing definitely played out for you there. And what was your strategy coming into tonight's race? Because we've seen you, saw you were close at Knock Hill, saw you close at Sonoma, but then coming into tonight, were you hungry for a feature race win, or do you think it was just the combination of the track and maybe the setup that gave you the speed to walk away with this race win?
Yeah, I was hungry for a feature win, to be honest. I missed round at Sonoma, so I was coming back this to trying to get a comeback or something.
And going through the rest of the schedule, of course, we have Atlanta in 2 weeks' time. Can we expect you there, and are you expecting to be fast again and walking away with a second feature race win in a row?
We might have to work a bit on that track, but let's see. Everything can happen in Atlanta.
Well, we look forward to seeing you race there, Jakob. Congratulations on your feature race win tonight, and thank you for joining us here on the broadcast booth.
Thank you.
Great to hear from World Championship competitor from the last season, Jakob Rafas, and another World Championship competitor in iRacing Rallycross, Connor Parisi, standing by with our Ian Fisher.
Connor, congratulations on your second place finish tonight as we watch some slow-mo footage here of your Jim Beaver Esports Dirtfish Subaru going around the track. And this isn't really a question, but I got to say that's a good looking paint right there. And then this is a question with everything you do in iRacing, you know, your GT3 racing, your work in the trucks with, you know, the Jim Beaver Esports. How hard is it to juggle all those different series, or is it hard to juggle all the different series that you race in?
Well, to answer your first non-question, we do have the best-looking cars on the field, I think. But yeah, it is tough, especially with limited practice time. Kind of have to prioritize. Obviously, with the CBS Sports races, we got to put a lot of effort into those, and then with the upcoming World Championship for the trucks, most of the effort's going into those these days. But Rallycross will always be my true love, so try to get into these as much as possible.
And I got it. It's impressive to see all our drivers that compete in Racecraft Rallycross, just the diversity that they put into all of their racing. Going to your Joker strategy though, did you have a plan going into the race as far as when you were going to take your Joker, or is that something in your opinion that you have to react to?
Most of the time it's reactory. See what the other guys do and how it looks. This track, it is beneficial to wait till the end because it kind of ruins your entry into that chicane before the jump. So once I saw a clear area at the final here, I just kind of waited and just took it when I had to.
And taking it when you have to is sometimes what you have to do. And great drive today, Connor. Good for second place here. And really just the best of luck for you in the future as well. Is there anybody you want to shout out who gets it done for you?
Yeah, I got to thank the whole Jim Beaver Esports crew. Congrats to J Bob on taking the win. He ran away with this one. We got Dirtfish Rally School, Vision Wheel, Next Level Racing, Fistful of Bourbon. And I want to give a shout out to my friend Taylor. I know she's watching right now, and she's gonna enjoy the shout out.
Well, it's always fun to have people supporting you, and I appreciate you being here tonight, Connor.
Awesome to hear, of course, from Connor Parisi and that Jim Beaver Esports. Number 11, second place finish for him tonight. And we'll round out our post-race show by speaking with our final podium finisher, Josh Clogg. And Josh, it was a good night for you. Podium finish, I think that's pretty much all you could have asked for, right? I mean, you had some speed, but definitely had some struggles out there as well.
Yeah, definitely wasn't expecting it coming in here. I just got off work, just made it home in time to register for the race. A minimal warm up. So to come away with the podium, absolutely no complaints.
And of course, we saw you get into some trouble through the heat race, finished about mid-pack there, but luckily you didn't have to worry about the LCQ, and then you came into the feature. Did you have speed that you were expecting to come in with, or with that limited practice, were you just kind of expecting to have a little bit more of a struggle than you did?
Yeah, I was definitely expecting more of a struggle. But the goal is just kind of avoid the slowdowns, keep it on the track, and see where I got. I wasn't really ready to push for anything, or even really defend if somebody got close. But Edmonton behind, he got a couple slowdowns at the time he got close. So it all worked out for me.
Well, a great effort from you tonight, and we hope to see you in Atlanta in 2 weeks' time. Congratulations on your podium finish.
Very much appreciated, and thanks to KS Industries and everybody involved with that. Great
to hear from Josh Clogg. Third place finish for him tonight, and as we put a bookend to tonight's race in, we're going to be heading to one of the tougher courses on the iRacing Rallycross calendar, and that is the Atlanta Motor Speedway. This track has a Joker lane that cuts off about 20 seconds of the lap time, and that is not even that much of an exaggeration. It is going to be Joker lap strategy galore, and it's going to be an interesting one to watch.
Not only is it going to be Joker lap strategy galore, Atlanta's a track that passing is almost non-existent, to put it lightly. It's a track where you need to qualify up front, and you're going to pass with your Joker. As far as the track goes, it's pretty single file all the way around, just because there's not a lot of room to move around laterally, and that's going to be really fun, because we might see some elbows out race in there, Josh. That might be what we're in store for next week.
Always love to see the elbows out racing of Racecraft TV Rallycross. Congratulations to our RX2 feature race winner, Connor Berry, and our RX1 feature race winner, Jakob Rafas. They win here tonight from the virtual Daytona International Speedway. We hope to see you in 1 week's time when we go racing once again for round number 4. But for now, and for my colleague Ian Fisher up here in the booth, my name is Joshua Lee, and on behalf of everybody at Racecraft TV Rallycross and Racecraft TV, we thank you for tuning in to all of tonight's action, and we hope to see you in 2 weeks' time when we go racing for round number 4 of the campaign from the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway.